The Private Security Industry Regulatory Authority has dismissed claims stating the newly proposed amendments to firearm regulations will hinder the operations of private security firms. Gazetted last month by Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, the draft regulations, which introduce tighter controls on firearm use and prohibit certain types of weapons, have sparked backlash across the sector. The public and relevant stakeholders have until the 25th of April 2025 to submit their comments on the proposals. Gun-Free South Africa has welcomed the draft regulations, with the organization describing them as long-overdue measures to improve accountability within South Africa's vast private security sector. Joining me now is Gun-Free South Africa Director Dr. Stanley Maphosa. Dr. Maphosa, thank you so much for your time and a very good evening to you. Of course, you've welcomed the draft resolutions. What stands out for you?
Thank you so much, Masa, and the viewers of ENCA, Newzroom Afrika, I'm sorry. The question that you are giving here is quite critical for us, you know. What stands out for Gun-Free South Africa is that the spirit and the letter of these regulations override what people are saying, as you have indicated, because the measures are put in place to address accountability and oversight, but also to ensure that the behavior of both the guards and the security companies are regulated. After a long time that this has not happened, and that's why you say it's overdue. Secondly, this is a draft, and the draft gives everybody an opportunity to refine the regulations, to give feedback, to get feedback before they are tabled. And without emotions, you know, do our research and ensure that the framework is strengthened. 5 things quickly that really stand out in addition to that is that a comprehensive record keeping is proposed, limits on the type of guns that can be carried by the security guards, training and fitness requirements, tracking and monitoring, as well as the restriction of guns in specific public areas.
And also, just speaking of some of those themes that you've also highlighted, for instance, training and fitness. The private security industry feels that they're being targeted. Of course, they are not in support of this draft at all. But training and fitness, in many of the cases, you could see that in the private security industry, they say that they are doing that already. But when we're looking at our South African police services as well, when we look at training and fitness on that spectrum, it's not always up to par there either.
I think it's really an emphasis of what needs to be done, because the regulations indicate that there are organizations that are not doing it as much as they are supposed to be doing it. And for me, it's really taking the side of the security officers rather than taking the side of the employer. And therefore, it is something that would really ensure that this space is professionalized. This space also ensures that the security guards are safe in the places that they are working. You'll see when you're reading the regulation that it talks about equipment that is working, equipment that is not defectful, that the guards should undertake mental health assessment, health assessment, to ensure that they as people are properly taken care of, beyond just a mere training of shooting, but their overall life as workers in that industry must be taken care of.
Yeah. One of your other concerns are the number of lost guns in the private security sector. Tell us more about that.
Thank you so much, Masa. The latest parliamentary reply indicates that about 1,648 guns are lost, or were lost, actually, in the period 2023 to 2024 by private security companies and guards. Which means statistically 5 guns are lost a day by by the private security industry versus 2 guns that are lost by the police. And obviously one would say because they are more, they lose more. That's an issue. That's an issue. A lot of guns are being lost. And secondly, the type of guns that are being lost. It is not the smaller guns that are lost. It's huge guns that are lost through cash in transit haste. And where do they go? They go and commit further murders or further robberies. And therefore, this is an issue for us as country South Africa. The tap is leaking from the so-called legal gun tank to the illegal guns. And there's a lot of diversion and linkages into the criminal syndicates through private security to ensure that further crimes that are violent, robberies, as well as murders take place. But finally, there is also poor oversight as well as accountability in the storage. Where are these guns stored so that they get lost? The poor training that we talked about. Are people properly trained to take care of the guns and to keep them well? Weak internal controls that ensure that guns get lost or stolen easily. And also corruption and collusion. We know of stories where corruption and collusion between the security personnel and criminals have happened in this country. And everybody is aware about that.
Yeah, and there are those cases that we are aware of too, but also at large, the private security industry plays a role in supplementing and supporting the SAPS when one thinks of, for instance, when it comes to illegal mining, when it comes to poaching, cash and transit heists, we see the force of the private security industry. And when one looks at the SAPS that is outgunned and outnumbered by criminals, the private security industry then plays a crucial role there. So what's your proposition to tackling crime with less firearms?
Well, the first thing that we need to all agree and hold accountable is that government must take full responsibility for the safety and the security of the people. If we are talking about creating a developmental state, that is part of it. Government must be held accountable for that, rather than then creating lots and lots of ungovernable parallel structures. Government must be held accountable to do their work. We're paying the police, we're paying everybody that's there as taxpayers. Why then should we then increase parallel structures instead of ensuring that those that have the mandate to do it? But let me give you 2 facts. The first fact is that in 10 years ago, the private security increased by 35%. But at the same time, in those 10 years, murder also increased by 60%, and attempted murder increased by 50%. My question is, if the private security company is doing what you are saying and others are saying is doing, why would we have an increase in the murders as well as the attempted murders? Secondly, let's ask another question again to say, how is the private security industry contributing itself to the crime in the country? For example, in the July 2021 unrest, 34 people were killed. And those 34 people that were killed by the private security and civilians, because the private security was doing what is not in their mandate. Public safety, public order, security is not their mandate. It's not their work. It's not what they are supposed to be doing. They are not trained to do that at all. In the police force, there are few individuals that are also trained for that particular thing. And our question is simple, that what is their contribution in the crime versus the attending of the crime? The mafias, in the meeting I was in today where the minister was briefing about the police summit, we were told that there is a man in Mpumalanga who came with his bodyguards and chased everybody from a restaurant because he wanted to eat alone. Using security for mafia is something that is happening in this particular country. And there's so much leakage as well of guns, as I've indicated before. What is the role of security, private security in crime? Is a question that we need to be answering as well.
Interesting take. But, you know, Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police, Ian Cameron's, he was speaking about these amendments that could jeopardize this industry, which is worth, what, 45 billion rand and employs over 500,000 people. Are you concerned that what this could mean for our already devastating unemployment statistics?
I would really want to engage more on that with Ian Cameron, because it is really unclear where that statistics comes from. From my reading of the regulations, that matter is not clear and is not written. And therefore, bringing in some of the things that are not there is complicating the matter. But let me tell you something here, that the issue at hand here is that the jobs of the police that will be lost may not be 500,000, because statistics show that 130,000 guns are with the security companies. And this regulation is regulating the guns. So where will these other numbers be coming from? Statistically, it will mean 25% would be affected, not the whole 500,000. If the whole 500,000 gets to be affected, the matter gets to be complicated, because it means the guns that we are told the security has is not what they have. It means they have 500,000, and that's an issue. Secondly, as I've said earlier, this is a process of professionalizing the jobs of the security personnel. And it is in the interest of them having their jobs professionalized, and the industry they work in professionalized, so that they work in a safe environment where they are properly trained, they are properly equipped, they are properly checked, their health, and there is also risks that are averted for them not to be killed when they are carrying guns. Because when criminals see somebody with a gun, they want to kill him. Sakeni Nxumalo, on the 22nd of May in the witness, indicated clearly that security companies and security personnel are targeted because of their guns and nothing else.
Just finally and quickly, so you've also made mention of an example of a man who had security personnel and chased people out of a restaurant trying to eat alone. Firearms in malls, how big of a problem is that? Because we also saw a recent case in media reports here in Gauteng, in Johannesburg and Sandton, where a man was dining at a popular restaurant, came with his bodyguards, and then there was a shootout.
That's the case. No, when people go to the mall, they go to relax, they go to shop, they go to do other things that really they do not want to see the drama of guns, somebody carrying a machine gun in full view of the children and everybody, and walking with a machine gun within the mall, and in the church and in the school, those public spaces. What we are saying there is that really, when then the armed robbers come and they are targeting those guns, the security person dies, the gun gets stolen, and there are other people that get to be killed. If a criminal would come and there was no one like that, they would just steal clothes, or they would steal whatever they steal and go and kill no one.
But do we really know that, though? Sorry, Dr. Maphosa, just to interject you there. We've seen countless cases where criminals still shoot people and do kill people who aren't armed.
And the statistics for that are low, as we're indicating that the more the guns are available with the security personnel or anyone else, the more the murders happen to that particular person and individuals that are not armed at all. So I would propose, as you asked for a proposal, I would propose that let us go back to the Firearms Control Act, which we are currently using right now, Act number 60 of 2000. In section 140, subsection 1, it says the Minister of Police is supposed to declare certain places to be called firearm-free zones. And we must be able to hold the minister to do that, because the law is clear that it must be done. And when that is done, it becomes the minister and the police and the government that is responsible for that particular zone that has been declared that way. And anyone that crosses that space with a gun finds themselves, in difficult troubles with the law. So for me, all public places, be they schools, be they hospitals, be they malls, must be declared by the minister. And we ask a question: why has the minister not done that 25 years after that law was promulgated? Why?
Dr. Maphosa, thank you so much for your time and your insights.